Sorry, guys. The volume was down. All right. Let's try this again. Ready?
Ready. Yes! Hello, world! Your sisters are here, ready, open, and as fabulous as possible. These are your sweets, Makeda
And Melanie.
and you're now listening to Gurl.
What?
We start every episode off with our drink of the day, and we have a guest that will introduce herself and today's drink.
Today's drink.
Yay! Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thankful to be here. I know it's like a milestone show for you. So it feels even more special. But the drink of the day is, I'm going to name it Liquid Assets.
Oh, liquid access.
I like it.
Is.
And it's a mixture of a liqueur called Saint Germain. It's divine. It's made from elderflower, and it's mixed with some Italian prosecco, so a little bubbly, and then some lime sparkling water on top of that.
Oh. And you
Absolutely delicious.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Camille Coke. I'm with Ameriprise Financial. I'm an attorney and financial advisor.
All right. Great.
Yay!
All right. So we always open the show with Eminem moment. Are you ready?
Eminem moment.
Eminem moment. And I think I went first the last time,
Awesome.
so it's on you.
So let's see, what have I not been doing? I think our chapter GZO has been doing. We did our ALZ Alzheimer's project. That was us going to Jackson's retirement community, and we sang songs and painted nails and kind of
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. We sang, we entertained the elderly, and it was great. I was able to take my niece, so this was like her first official project or community service. She's 14, Ariana. So other than that, let me think. Still, we're working on Pumps, Pearls, and Politics. I'm the chair of Connection Committee, and we have finally started to promote the event. It's July 28th. It's going to be at Florida Memorial. Other than that, work on the campaign. Sean qualified.
Oh, that's good.
And so he's officially on the ballot for August 28th primary. So that's exciting.
Oh, that's cool. So we have to make sure y'all check Sean out and
Sean
do what y'all
Shaw
do. He's the only African American
in the race for Attorney General.
So
yes.
y'all know what y'all gotta do. That's all I'm saying.
And that's it.
All right. So I'm going to piggyback. Our chapter also did our due diligence to raise awareness for Alzheimer's, and we had I guess it was an evening of exercise, walking, running, biking, and spreading the awareness around the park that we chose. And we did it on the actual longest day, which was June 21st. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to say our chapter raised and still raising. It looks like the campaign is still going. People are still donating. We've raised over $2,000. Wow. Our goal was $1,600. We've exceeded the goal.
Exceeded it that day, the day of.
The day of. And so that was my first event back after surgery. So I was super excited to see everybody. I actually walked 1 mile. My other sorors walked, I think they did probably about 3 or 4 miles. 3 miles. Yeah. And so that was cool. And then just to change it up a little bit, I was going to mention some outdated decor trends, because I haven't talked about decor in a couple of episodes. So I found some interesting things that even myself, one of them I thought was something that's in, but I found out is actually out. So I'm going to highlight a couple of them. outdated decor trends. So in other words, things that are in our houses or trends that we think are in, but they're actually out. For those of you that are decor fanatics like myself. West Coast minimalism. All white, you know, the all white look, the bare look that looks like nobody lives there, that's out. Lack of color and texture is out. Now everything is about color and different textures and different patterns. The industrial kitchen, that's out. No more industrial kitchen. No more of those flat countertops with the, you know, the stone. That's out.
No stainless steel.
Stainless steel is in, but not so minimal and bland. More color in your kitchen. Accent walls. You know how we all have that one wall. I'm gonna paint that wall the accent color red, or I'm gonna paint that wall the accent color whatever. That's out. No more accent colors. The trend of a single wall, the wow factor, no more. Even the wallpaper trend to have like one wall with some type of funky wallpaper, that's out. What's in is textured walls. Textured wallpaper. Things like silk, glass, cloth, that's in. What else is out? Mid-century modern. That's out. Now it's cool to blend contemporary, custom, vintage pieces, like kind of intertwine every type of how do I say it? I guess they call it genre or style of decor, to blend them all together, not just stick to one. It's cool to blend different types of decor patterns or decor what about the word I'm looking for? Different types of phases of decor, blend them together. Not just traditional. You can blend in traditional and modern. Rose gold came and went. It's out. There was a time, I think last year, everybody was doing rose gold. That's out. Now it's just metallic, because apparently rose gold is hard to match and you get stuck. So it's better just to do metallic and blend the metallics. And yeah, so if you want to hear some more trends, you can check me out. Instagram, Shin Chic Decor, MelShin. My website, www.shinchicdecor.com. And I think that's all I have.
So when you say textured walls are
out.
No, I have to ask. So remember the faux painting?
That's out.
Where you can make it like a suede wall?
That's out.
But you said texture. That's not
texture. As long as it's not an accent.
Okay. Got it.
But more so textured wallpaper. Now they have this nice silk wallpaper, and I think they're bringing back how we used to have wallpaper back in the day, where it had those different types of textures.
Yeah.
Follow me, and then you'll see like examples. But the faux walls, I think that's out.
Well, I hope Kim and Kanye are paying attention. They have that minimalist white.
That's out. Yeah. Kim and Kanye, y'all need to step your game up. Bring in some color. It's about color nowadays. Kim and Kanye. Are we going to talk about them? We're getting into hot topics now.
No, hot topics. I'm going to keep it to one subject right now, and that is the immigration policy, the zero tolerance that this current administration has put in place. What has been happening, I believe back in March, the Attorney General Jeff Sessions rolled this out as something that they were going to implement, and it has been in motion. And what has actually transpired is a zero tolerance, where now they're criminalizing immigrants that's coming into the country illegally and separating children from parents. This past, I guess in the past 96 or so hours, has been a national outcry. My candidate, Sean Shaw, was one of many state and federal elected officials that's gone down to the borders. I didn't realize until Wednesday that there was an actual detention center here in Florida.
Yep.
So Homestead is currently housing about 1,000 kids. at this facility. Up until, I think, Wednesday, there was Senator Bill Nelson and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and a number of other people on Wednesday went to the facility, was hoping to take a look, and was turned away. Sean went on Thursday. We held a press conference where there was a number of activists and people out there to speak their mind about this issue and atrocity and condemn the current administration. Since then, even members of the GOP party have also started to verbalize that this is wrong. And so, this is something that I guess we're all kind of monitoring. The current administration has since, I guess, moved to end, or, they wrote out, the name escaped me right now, but they've apparently ended the policy on a technicality, but still now we're somewhere near 3,000 children.
3,053 as of this morning.
Yes, that children are not. We're trying to figure out, while the policy has changed and moving forward, they're not going to be separating the parents from the kids. Now they're trying to figure out how do they recover and connect those kids that are already out with the parents. I don't know if a lot of people really realize what's happening. Some of these parents have already been deported. There are stories saying that kids are being put into the foster system already for adoptions. There are, the images and things that are being shown it's gut wrenching. And for me, it's just been really emotional to even. I don't have access to TV, but what I do every morning is I do a combination of listening to CNN, I listen to MSNBC, and I'm listening to some of these journalists that are, some you can hear in their throats that they are crying.
One crying.
Have been crying. I saw something on Facebook with Rachel Maddow, who I love, couldn't even finish her program. And this is, it hits home, because when you look at, and I think this was sometime last year, maybe the year before, when I was seeing policies that was happening in other countries, like Dominican Republic was going back to 1925. If you weren't born in Dominican Republic at that time, you were now in 2016, 2015 being deported back to a country that you don't know. And they were doing that for Black people. In that regards, it was the Haitians. And so I was in downtown, I was in North Miami. They were protesting about that. But that always sat in the back of my mind. I'm a first generation U.S. citizen, right? I was born here in 1976. My parents are Jamaican. And when you think about these things that, the United States is supposed to be the leaders in the global society. We're supposed to be the bastion of of human rights, and we've been the ones that's been monitoring other countries, and unfortunately the tides have turned because of the current administration, and they have invoked racism to the nth power. And I know that we are preaching to the choir, but these are times where we have to have conversations with folks that don't typically agree with us, to start to so that we can start having that dialogue and understanding. Right now, I don't understand it, and quite frankly, I did listen to Fox News a couple of days ago, and it's interesting when you hear the different perspective on this policy.
Yeah,
where
sometimes I listen to Fox News to hear the other side.
And I'm encouraging a lot of us to do that, because while we're outraged, this is no administration is still playing to a base of people that still wholeheartedly support his agenda and the things that he's doing. Yep. So, this is all that, we have to pay attention to some of these things, and we cannot because right now there's so many things that are happening in and of itself that we can talk to in great length. But pay attention to what's happening. Don't pay attention to this man's response to a lot of it, because I think the media is paying too much attention to the darts that he's throwing to get people to not pay attention to the policies that he's pushing, and the agenda that he and Jeff Sessions, serious racists, are putting in place. They are confirming federal justices throughout the country that are young, white, conservative, probably very racist, if you dig a little bit deeper. And the things that they're going to be able to do that's going to change, how our country has been attempting to run. Now, look, we're based in a lot of racist, that's our history, that I think seeing what's happening is starting to kind of paint that picture of but this is what we've always been. We currently have folks that are in high office that is now changing our moral compass. And
it really is a humanitarian issue,
absolutely,
at the base of it all. And I think that words do matter. And when we find ourselves using words that cause us to separate ourselves, and when you use words like it's an infestation of our country,
it's a crisis, it's it
dehumanizes people. And I think there are groups that find it easier to distance themselves and not think about it in a humanitarian way.
Not to mention, your wife shows up at these places with a jacket that says, I don't care, do you?
I don't know. I kind of feel, though, that it's just my opinion, but I want to say I feel like she's her own person, and I felt that she's very deliberate about the things that she does at times. And so I wondered if that messaging was aimed at her husband more than...
And it could have been, but it wasn't the appropriate...
It wasn't appropriate.
Because it could be seen two different ways. You don't wear that when you're going to see what's going on with these kids. And we've heard in the media and witnessed all these things about what's going on, and you show up in that jacket.
And unfortunately, our culture is kind of set up that way. If you're a celebrity, if you have a certain platform and you do something, you wear a random shirt that has a message. How our culture is nowadays, we take that as literal. I don't know what the other side, what the conservative folks take, how they view things. Because now that I'm kind of going back and forth between, MSNBC and CNN, and now looking at Fox, there's definitely two viewpoints and two conversations. We should all just pay attention. And unfortunately, it's just been a very bad, we're in a very bad, dark place right now.
And I know Congresswoman Frederica Wilson's concerned. She keeps asking this question, where are the girls?
Where are the girls? Where
are the little girls? Where are they? And it's true, you don't really see them on the media.
Yeah, it's very interesting. State Representative Jared Moskowitz. He actually attended Parkland. That's the high school that he went to. I'm not sure if he actually represents that area, but during the press conference, he said that his parents were, came over from, being able to dodge the concentration camps and things that happened during World War I and World War II, and he compared what was happening to the Jews to what's happening right now. And it's like, if we don't pay attention, history will have a tendency to repeat itself, because a lot of the policies and the outlook of how this administration communicates what they are wanting to do, and paying and wanting their country better, looks like some of the policies and the conversations that was happening when Adolf Hitler was doing his things in Germany. And so, again, I know it's a little dark conversation, but I really want, the other interesting dilemma is that maybe our listeners and our community, that may not even really be our issue, but it should be, because we have our Caribbean and other, brown and black brothers and sisters that are facing similar disparities elsewhere. So, just wanted to share that little bit. Again, I've been super busy with the campaign, and so I just wanted to kind of make sure that we said something and acknowledge what's happening, and because we have to do better, and the only way we can do better is to pay attention to folks that support these efforts and kind of monitor, on the political front, who is running for different offices. I'm always talking about who's running for different offices because, depending on who, depending on the race, depending on the person, you need to know, are these people a bastion for their community, or do they have another agenda?
And that's exactly right. I kind of see it as an opportunity to I guess, present a mirror and have us all consider who we are, in this country at a humanitarian level, to bring out the best in all of us. We can confront and transform anything, and it just takes people who care. So,
yes, absolutely.
Thank you for highlighting that.
I had a few things. We don't have to cover all of them. One of them is not so much on a lighter note. The rest of them are. And so I guess I'll tackle the one that's kind of sad. Within this last week, there was a rap artist who's very popular. A lot of the teenagers love him. He's been compared to Tupac. I had never heard of the artist, but naturally I'm into music. So when it happened, my husband and I sat down and listened to his latest album, and he has some really good tracks, and he says some really positive things. Some of the music was kind of dark, but I can understand why kids like him. And that was XXX Temptation. I hope I'm saying that right.
Sounds right.
He was shot. He was murdered. They did, in fact, recently find or charge his murderer, who was a 22-year-old. XXX was 20. They said that he had just put down a huge down payment on a house in Parkland, and he has a baby on the way. And so he was shopping for a motorcycle and was on, I guess, leaving, and someone stole his money and shot him. And but this is something that is happening every day. Just so happened he was an artist and a well-known, obviously, he was getting money, getting the Benjamins. But this is something that's going on a lot, where kids are dying left and right. They're getting shot left and right. And again, as you mentioned, humanitarian. We need to evaluate ourselves. Why is this continuing to happen? There's something that outside of politics, outside of the president we have, the president is not making these kids do these things. There's a lot of different variables, but individually, what can we do in our households? So I kind of jotted down some things that I have noticed that are changing, some positive things. Some of you may not care, but I happen to care. I'm a big fan of Mary. Erica Campbell and her husband have a new show that's highlighting their family and how they're raising their kids in a two-parent household. And I think, it may seem small to some, but these images and transforming the images that we see on TV, I think will help. Because when we were coming along, you know, we saw things like the Cosbys. And not that everybody has this, you know, perfect 2-parent household. But if you have images of things to strive for or to model yourselves after, I think that's a start. I was looking at, I don't know what channel that is that shows the old shows. And I remember the shows that we watched, every show had a lesson. They don't do that anymore. Those are the little things that are missing. And I just think that if we, and I've said this before, if we make an intentional effort, celebrities included, if we make an intentional effort to showcase and model what we like to see, I think that will help outside of, you know, what the president is doing. Because honestly, and I've said it before, there are certain traits that I see in the president that I see in this world, that I see in me, or have seen in me, to make it personal. So I think if we evaluate these images of what we're seeing in our president and our politicians, we're no better than him. It's just he's the president. So that's my little tidbit. We have a new movie out, Superfly. I don't know if anybody's going to see it, but I haven't seen it. I heard it's pretty good.
It was showcased at the American Black Film Festival last week.
Yeah, I wasn't able to make it. I wanted to go, but I didn't have time to go.
I would have loved to have gone over there. Yeah. It was just a 1 week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a few days.
Yeah.
A few days.
4 or 5 days?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other thing that I saw that happened is that A Wrinkle in Time crossed $100 million.
Oh, that's good.
So
I haven't seen that yet.
No, I haven't either.
Ava DuVernay is officially the first female director, black female director, that has directed a film that's made over $100 million. And I think that's domestically. I don't think that is worldwide either. So kudos. I really wanted to watch it. I really want to. I'm probably going to try to go and buy the DVD. I know, DVD. Who uses DVD? I do.
Listen, I buy DVDs if it's something that I really like, a movie that I really like.
I still have a DVD player.
I'm old school too. Like, if it's something I really like and I want to hold on to it, I'll buy it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't even get into the, what is it, the Blu-ray? I don't even have a Blu-ray player, so judge me however you want to. I still have a DVD player, and I'm proud of it. I have no cable, so it's helpful.
And so, whereas Makeda's a big fan of Oprah, I'm a big fan of Beyonce. And the Carter's album dropped.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of another example of trying to showcase a unit and raising a family, kudos to them. And showcasing their marriage and using it as a testimony to that, you know, their relationship was not perfect, but they've, you know, renewed their vows and they're on this mission and they're more in love than ever. And I'm all for that. So they're, you know, they started their tour. They announced to their tour, their first show, I think, in London. Album available now. It went up, and that was history. Everybody got the album. The album is fire. And yeah, so that's another testament to a couple that's trying to change the dynamic and show, you know, the youth what we should be striving for.
I agree 1,000%. I think we need more positive images.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I myself get a little tired of the negative, stereotypical images of us, and
yes,
yeah. So I celebrate, you know, anything that portrays us in a positive light.
So, just so that we can keep on time, we need to dedicate this half hour for you.
Oh, half hour.
The hot topic was just pretty much like trying to break the ice so you can get a little comfortable. And yes, we did have somebody just ask what the topic was for tonight. So if you missed the promo, Meg, hi Meg, and thank you,
Meg.
for congratulating us on our anniversary.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but we didn't say anything. It's officially a year that Gurl has been doing these podcasts. It came up from just some regular girl conversations that we're always having, and just said, you know what, why not, offer our voice out into the universe. And Gurl What was, launched, and it is officially a year. I can't
We
even
love
believe
you too,
it.
man.
I cannot believe that it's been a year. It's crazy.
Hello,
It's
Meg.
gone, but
Hello.
hey, man.
We have someone else in the building. I don't know if she wants to say her name. She came in late because she heard what the topic was, so she's trying to get a quick financial advising session. And I told her, you can't ask no questions on the show. You have to wait until after. And Camille, and she lives close.
Very quickly.
That's right, because this is raw. This show is raw. And so she's here, and then we told her, yeah, you could come ask, but you gotta sit in and wait. So we have a special guest in the building that's our audience right now. So Meg, she says hello. She goes by the name of Dee Dee. I won't say her whole name, but it's Dee Dee. Dee Dee says hi, okay?
So let's get into it. Introduce yourself. Let's talk about.
So tonight's topic is securing the bag.
Securing the bag.
Yes.
We had a cute promo.
I know. I wish I could play Benjamin's before we start talking, but I don't know.
It was in my head all day yesterday after I listened to it.
It was nice. That was so nice. Does your husband do that? Was that him?
No, that's Diddy. And we don't own the rights to that song, and we make it clear we don't. But it's the Benjamins, and I'm gonna see. But I'm gonna have Camille go ahead and introduce herself, and then maybe by then I'll have the song queued up for the conversation.
Okay. Well, as I said, my name is Camille Coke. I'm with Ameriprise Financial. I became licensed as a financial advisor in the last year. I actually joined my stepmother's financial planning business a year ago. The way I got into the business is a little odd because I had been practicing law for the last 20 years. I had my own law practice for the last 7 of those. And really the way it came about, my stepmom, well, I should reverse a little bit. My father did pass away about 4 years ago, and my stepmother was really struggling with her grief. And I really just wanted to support her and say something to make her happy. And the next thing I know, the words were just out of my mouth. I said that, maybe I'll think about the business. And she got so excited and happy, and the train was just moving, and I was on it. And I never expected to be a part of this financial planning business at all. I'm an only child, but
like me.
Yeah, like you. And my parents had asked me for many years if I thought I would be interested, and I never thought I would be. And primarily because I just didn't really have a full understanding of what it was my stepmother was doing. She was really good about compartmentalizing work life from home life. Mm-hmm. And so, and she kept confidential any sensitive information with her clients, so she never talked about it. And I guess I assumed that she was a stockbroker maybe, and was just doing trades all day. And I just, for whatever reason, I just didn't think I'd be interested. But life unfolds in really divine, mystic ways. And after my dad passed, and I mentioned maybe I'll think about it, the train was moving, and I wound up taking 3 exams to get licensed as a financial advisor. I didn't want to take another exam after the Florida bar exam, not even an eye exam, but I did it, and I really couldn't be happier now. I mean, it's really gratifying to know that we work with our clients in a way that helps them and their families to think about finance in a comprehensive way. Our aim is not to push one product over another. We have no skin in the game in that sense. We really try to help our clients identify what are the blind spots in their overall estate and financial plan, maybe things that they haven't thought about or considered, and help them just build towards a confident retirement ultimately. It's trying to balance today's needs with tomorrow's needs, and essentially what we're doing is striving to recreate the paycheck when the paychecks stop. and build towards a confident retirement. So
okay, so before we ask questions, I got the song. Y'all ready?
okay,
Yes.
we're ready for it.
We don't want the rights to this song, but we've been jamming to this song, and it was in the promo. So before we ask our questions, Camille requested. Song brings back memories. What you wanna do? Wanna be ballers, shot callers, brawlers. Who be dipping in the Benz with the stallers. And I thought it was ironic that it had certain words in it about the wheel and all of that.
Oh,
But still, everything's real in the field. And what you can't have now, leave in your will.
In your wheel, you heard it?
7 zeros over in Rio de Janeiro. Ain't nobody zero, but I wanna be heard.
Alright, so that was our promo song. And so I think Makeda had question. I wrote down like 3 questions.
No, if you'd like, walk us through like what a day as a financial planner looks like, and like how, how do you acquire your clients?
it's a good question. So again, being a new financial advisor, and I still consider myself new after just a year, what I'm doing with my stepmom is building, we're trying to build a multi-generational practice now. As I said, my stepmother, she's been doing it for 30 years. She's a certified financial planner. She's been working with a lot of her clients for the last 20 years, 30 years. So she's done her job well, and she's worked with people who were still in the wealth building phase of their lives at one point, and they're now retired and living comfortably off essentially the earnings of their investments, and so yeah, so she's helped them achieve their aims and their goals in life, and now what I'm doing is trying to work with a younger generation of people, perhaps being introduced to their children and grandchildren. And even if it's not even if it's not an existing client with my stepmom, I'm really honestly just using my own natural market. I love people. I'm interested in people. I talk to everyone about what I'm doing. I'm not fearful about that. I guess in some regard, there's an aspect of this that is sales oriented, because we're selling our advice services. But I've never really approached it in that way. I've never really thought of it as being a sale, in air quotes. I more or less honestly feel that, it's a helpful service that we offer, and I'm not shy about, introducing what it is I do and planting the seed, and maybe, it's of interest to someone and maybe not. And if it's not, that's okay. It's perfectly fine. So really, for the last year, I have been just trying to build my book of business by having conversations, being on, a podcast
on
like
Girl
this.
What?
Even.
But you gotta say Girl What before it's
Girl
over.
What, right? So I'm more or less in a client acquisition mode.
Okay.
So I do have some clients that are friends, and then others that I've just met along the way, and then it's a referral business as well. So
Okay, so my first question was, well, I think I mentioned this on Facebook. This is not a question. I didn't know that you went to Florida State, and I actually think you were there when I was there. And so Camille and I have something in common. We both are members of Alpha Beta Omega chapter in Miramar, Florida. So I didn't know that. So I was like, no wonder I like her. And now I'm finding out you're the only child. And I'm finding out you lost your dad 4 years ago, which I lost my mom 4 years ago.
Really?
So, yes.
Oh, I didn't realize it was 4
Yes.
years.
So, yeah. Now I'm liking you even more and more and more. But anyway.
It's mystic.
Yes. So to the first question. Give some examples of what should be financial goals for a household. Just like generally speaking.
So financial goals. I mean, there are some key areas when it comes to thinking about finances, and the first and most important thing is you have to cover your essentials, right? So what I would do is help someone to identify how their cash is flowing, and we'll look at, you know, what are your sources of income, what are your expenses, and even if it's necessary, taking a deep dive into what those expenses are. I mean, some people are good about living, you know, within their means, and they have a budget and they can stick to it, and you know, cash flow is not really a problem for them. You know, it's not my job to handhold, you know, someone who doesn't need it, and do that service. But certainly taking a look at what your essentials are, the necessities of life, that first and foremost has to be covered. The next thing that you want to look at is how to ensure your lifestyle. You know, so not necessarily needs, but what are your wants now? How do you want to live? And how do you want to live now? And then trying to project into the future and balance that, you know. Again, like I said, how are we going to find a way to do what you want to do in retirement and when the paycheck stops? So that's about ensuring lifestyle. Then the next broad thing is preparing for the unexpected. Unexpected things arise in life. It could be illness, it could be a disability, it could be a death, a loss of income in some way. You know, if you're married and you lose your spouse, you know, we want to take a look at those things, and that comes with looking at insurance needs. You know, transferring the risk from yourself to an insurer.
Right.
So you pay a premium to have that. And the idea is that it's not going to, you know, thwart all of your savings and everything you've been doing because something unexpected has happened. So, you know, I think it's important for households to look at primarily, you know, if you're working and you're a W-2 employee, you get a paycheck, look at your workplace benefits and take advantage of every single thing that's available to you there. Don't leave any money on the table. If you have a retirement savings plan at work and your company is matching that, you need to try to contribute to it. As hard as it may be within your budget, you do what you can, you know. Look at what workplace benefits are available to you in the way of life insurance. Most companies will, I won't say most, but I think in the private sector anyway, most companies will offer life insurance that's equated with one times your salary. But then you can still, you know, buy additional insurance for pennies on the dollar. You know, make it 2 times or 3 times your salary. But with the understanding that maybe when you leave that place of employment, if you do, you won't. I don't think that it necessarily will always convert.
Move with you. It depends on where you go. Yeah.
Right. It could end. So maybe you want to think about having your own individual insurance then. Have your own individual life insurance policy. For example, locking in good health when you're young. You know, it's much cheaper to get life insurance when you're younger than when you're older or you're, you know, in failing health. And I know sometimes people look at life insurance like it's just purely a death benefit, but life insurance is actually a really useful way to save for retirement too. Because if you have the kind of life insurance that, like a universal life insurance policy that allows you to build cash value over time, you can withdraw on that money tax-free. You know, where else can you buy money like that at those rates of return too? Another thing that you can think about with life insurance is you can attach like a long-term care rider to that policy that gives you long-term care benefits. You know, it's something when you're younger you're maybe not really thinking about, but your chances of needing long-term care insurance when you're older and you're in senior age is a 1 out of 2 probability. It's 50%. It's a 50% probability. So we all carry auto insurance and homeowners insurance, but are we thinking about who's going to take care of me when I can't do maybe 2 activities of daily living? You know,
right.
Whether that's, you know, toileting or bathing or, you know, eating, whatever it is. So that's something to maybe look at, you know, preparing for the unexpected. And then finally, you know, leaving a legacy for loved ones. You know, how do you transfer, you know, what wealth you have worked hard to build and turn that over to the next generation of whether it's your children or Maybe it's a favorite charity, or other loved ones who maybe didn't do as well in life as you have. So,
and I think it's key that you said that, because in our community, in the Black community, I don't think overall that's our goal. I think overall we're typically not the ones that leave inheritance and don't think about that. And I think that's why a lot of times other cultures have a one-up on us, because they always think that way. I know in the Jewish culture, for instance, in the bar mitzvah, that's really what the bar mitzvah is about. People contributing money to build an inheritance for that child. And that's why a lot of times they finish college and they already have solid money to start with,
or no debts,
and no debt. Exactly.
That's right.
But I think, again, back to what we were talking about, we have to examine the things that are not working in our community, the things that we're falling short on, and that's a part of the reason why we created this platform, in hopes that people will listen in our community and be aware and striving to do things like this, financial planning. Which my next question was, at what stage financially should someone get a financial planner or a financial advisor? Like, some people listening, they might be like, man, I don't got no money. I don't have a pot to do something. When I'm talking to an advisor about, I don't even got no money.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I mean, my answer to that is as soon as possible. Even if it's not a hired professional like a financial advisor, do everything you can to educate yourself on. And let's start with attacking debt. Everyone's situation is different, and I'm not going to say that there's a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone, but paying down debt is it's financial freedom. It's important to do. Having money for money's sake is nice, but I think the way I think of money, money just gives you the freedom to do the things that make you most happy. Whether it's for yourself or the people you love, or with your friends or your charity or whatever it is. And so, as a community, I think we certainly have to think about how we are going to pay down debt, and what's the way to do that. Do it in a systematic way, whether it's just whatever you can afford. I try to encourage people to think of it like, just take 10 or 15% of everything you earn and put it away somewhere. Even put it away somewhere where you can't access it easily, maybe. The benefit of having a financial advisor like myself is that, we can offer so many different product solutions for so many different situations. And I don't think people have to feel that they have to have a lot of money to begin, or to even have a financial advisor. I mean, there's ways to work with an advisor in a very cost-effective way, but sometimes people just need the help. They just need to be steered in the right direction, or it just seems so overwhelming that they don't know where to begin first. And so we
that would be me.
Okay,
so I'm calling you.
Okay,
you have a client right here.
Great, but that's what we aim to do, is to really take a close look at your particular situation. We create a net worth statement for you, an income and expense statement. Some people feel like, oh my gosh, my student loan debt is so exorbitant that I'm in the red and I don't have anything to work with. But there are ways to climb out of that, and it's just about being strategic with a little discipline. And I won't even say sacrifice, because sacrifice kind of has these negative connotations. Right. I would just say, just have determination, because
to meet the goal.
Yeah, it begins honestly with a written financial plan. How many people have a written financial plan? And I mean, contrast that with just a thought or an idea. That's not a plan. Having it visual, a visual having it in a visual way helps you actualize your goals.
Yes.
And that's what we try to do. We collaborate and help you identify what those goals are, and then work towards them in a strategic, incremental way.
Great. And then, Keita, you had a question?
I am another person that for sure have always thought about needing a financial planner, but feeling like I can't afford one. So, can you talk to, like, people that are like me that have been entrepreneurs for a while, and sometimes, you have on and off periods in your life.
Yeah.
And I've personally suffered health issues that also kind of impacted, spurts of like non-movement, so,
Right.
Have you been very helpful, or can you be very helpful for someone like me that, it's on and off?
Yeah. Well, I think yes. And I think what I bring to bear is my own personal experience with health issues as well. I mean, I became familiar with, your profile, and, we share a similar experience in terms of, I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Awesome.
I had the good fortune to be working somewhere where I had good benefits at the time, and I was able to actually work through my treatments. But I know that not everyone has that same situation, and again, that's where having disability insurance could be really important. If something happened and you couldn't work for a period of 6 weeks to 6 months, depending on what your injury or illness is, even if you have disability insurance through your group benefits at work, it's really only going to pay you 60% of your net paycheck. So can you live off the 60% or not? So again, working with an advisor, and I appreciate the point you're raising about when you feel like maybe you can't afford a financial advisor, but it's worth having the conversation, because I think there's ways to negotiate the fee, and just again, I think I come to this with the best of intentions, knowing my own personal situation. I know it's not always easy for people, and so that's something that can certainly always.
Camille's gonna be busy, y'all.
Well, I truly appreciate it, because I think our community has a few things against us. Mm-hmm. We lack the education. We have a sense of fear that we don't believe we can do that, and I feel like based on my experience, based on the people that I interact with or have interacted with, that we have a sense of buy and spend now and not think about later, which goes to, when something unexpected happens, we're not prepared for it. God forbid a death in the family occur. You see the GoFundMe pages pop up.
Yep.
We're not as a community we don't plan for it. And I think the other part is like not being comfortable with even having the conversation.
But I think a lot of it is too, our kids are dying so young.
Oh yeah.
That's another challenge that we're having in our community.
Yeah.
But
it's a good point you make, and if I'm perfectly honest with you, part of my own fear about entering the business, honestly, was where am I even going to begin to get a client? Because I was hearing, and listen, there aren't a lot of people of color working as financial advisors, to be honest. I'm even more of a unicorn, being like an attorney and a financial advisor, but. One of my fears was, I don't know where I would even start to get a client, and people were saying, "Oh, you're going to begin with your own sphere, your own circles, your own friends, your own spheres of influence." And I'll raise a hand and I'll be honest. The first thing that popped into my head was that's not going to work, because people of color, my friends, I love my friends, they love me, but people are private.
That's what I was just gonna say. I think a lot of it too, they don't want people to know you know, they don't want their friend to
Maybe
know
they feel
what's going on.
embarrassed
Yes.
or whatever the
Yes.
case may be. And so I was already talking myself out of it. Like, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. And then, you know, I went back to just, you know, I always go back to basics. And I just feel like, you know what, Camille, just, you know, at a spiritual level, we are all the same. You know, don't have, you know, don't put these your own limits and obstacles on yourself. Just pray about it and align yourself with the best of intentions, and then it will go from there. And it has, it really has. And this business is largely dependent on a trust relationship.
Yes.
You know, and so it's even harder. Maybe, I don't know. My stepmom would say it's not as hard as you think with strangers. You know, strangers will be more open with you than maybe your friends. So if your friends don't want to work with you, don't worry about it. And I haven't. You know, I understand. But as a community, you know, I do feel like there's mission in the experience for me. You know, if it's in my life, it's not by accident. And so the way that this has come about, I do take this responsibility very, very seriously, and I know that it's so much bigger than you know my job or my livelihood. It's about how can I make a real impact on our community. And I think, you know, changing the way we think about wealth and wealth transfer in our community really begins with having honest conversations amongst ourselves, you know, encouraging all of us to get comfortable with talking with our families about finances. If you have siblings, you know, what is the plan for taking care of our aging parent? You know, have we figured that out? And I know, you know, maybe there's this belief that, you know, we don't like to talk about what happens when mama dies. I don't want to talk about when mama dies. But guess what? You know,
You have to talk about it.
we're all going to depart this earthly existence at some point. So why not make it easier on your loved ones and leave them a love letter and put your affairs in order and let people know where to find things. And these are where all my important papers are. And, you know, if anything happens to me, this is what I want to happen. Or you know, you don't want infighting. And then maybe there's some member of your family that's more emotionally equipped to make those kinds of decisions. You know, whether it's end of life decisions or whatever. So, yeah, we have to have honest conversations and consider ourselves. Are we in a better position to be caregivers or care managers? Can we transfer some of that risk to an insurer, and, you know, I can continue to work while I can have a home health aide at home with mom taking care of her, you know, those kinds of things. So,
well, I am enjoying this conversation, and I know that we can always continue to ask more questions and find out, but since it's 8:30, we're going to attempt to close. Is there any round out? I know it goes by very quickly. So if there's anything that you'd like to...
This is your moment to
share with us.
Tell the people how to call you, how to contact you.
Yeah, well, I can easily be found just by Googling my name, Camille Coke. It's Camille, last name Coke, like the soda, Coke. And then Google that with Ameriprise Financial. Ameriprise is AMERIPRISE. And my email is camille.coke@ampf.com. Or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. But yeah, I'm easily found.
We have a listener question. Okay, she says, I left the federal government almost a year ago to follow my bliss. Got certified as an executive empowerment coach, and now have started up my own business. 2 questions. Savings are definitely on hold as I invest in myself. I kind of have that dilemma. How long did it take you to get a client base? That's the first question. And the next question is, how did you go about doing it, getting the word out?
So to answer the first question, I'm still building my client base. It started out small. It has been small, but I'm just determined that this is, you know, I just, again, have written goals about what I'm trying to do, and maybe with faith and determination, you know, it's seeping into my subconscious, and again, just, you know, everyone I meet, I talk about it. You know, I believe in it. First of all, you know, it's not a salesy kind of thing. So more or less, yeah, I'm just building my client base by any means possible. You know, whether it's through, I do have a lot of support also through the corporation, through Ameriprise. They give me social media presence. I have a website. I have random calls that way, but more or less it's just natural marketing. And the second question was
was, I think you answered it. She said, how long did it take you to get a client base?
Yeah.
How did you go about doing it, getting the word out? So you answered it.
That's it. Just talk to everyone wherever you are. At the post office, at the grocery store, you know. Yeah.
I mean, and we're going to tie it up, but I think a big part, like we mentioned, is the trust factor. Yeah. The trust factor. And a lot of people in our community would rather go to somebody they don't know versus somebody they do know. But I'm going to take a leap because I want to put my money in our community. So I'm going to take a leap, Camille.
Great.
All right.
I took a leap just by being here.
Yeah.
Put me at ease, and I'm not nervous anymore. I'm
going to take a leap, and I'm going to trust you with my life.
Great.
And we may have a client already waiting for you.
There you go.
Yeah. So, we always we need to tell where they can find us before I close out with our scripture.
Sure, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Gurl What? That's GURLWHAT. You know, register and follow us on YouTube now. And, you know, we're on Spreaker.com/user/Gurl What. So,
iHeartRadio,
iTunes, Google Play.
Listen, 1 year, in 1 year, we've done a lot.
We've done a lot.
But we got a lot more to do. So, today is our 1 year episode. We're super excited about that. And you can find Makeda personally.
Yep, Makeda McLune. Makeda's Fab on Instagram. I think I'm under Makeda McLune on Twitter and Facebook.
And you can find me, MelShin, on Instagram, Mrs. MelShin, Facebook, MelShin, Shin Chic Decor, Instagram, Facebook. And then all of this stuff is underneath Team Shin Enterprises. So if you've seen Team Shin, that's like our umbrella. That's the business that my husband and I have together, empowering passion, purpose, and people. And so that's every product. I guess this is one of our products. Every product that we have, that is our mission, to empower either passion, purpose, or people. And so we always close out our show with a scripture, Colossians 1:16. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. So on that note,
thank you for listening. You have been into with Gurl.
And you have to say it with us.
Gurl.